Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am excited. I'm going to show you all a flip through of my completed Ireland journal. So let's dig in here. So first off, you can see the cover here, and I made this before I went on my trip and I took it with me. And so I did some sewing detail and then just glued it onto this suede leather cover. And I did a single signature, and there's the back of it. And then I did this tie, and I dyed this seam binding with my Distress alcohol inks. So you can see here's the cover, inside cover, and what I put in here. Here's our valet claim tickets from our American flight, and here's our plane tickets, and here's our itinerary. So this walks through everything that we did on our trip, so I'll have that in here so I will remember all the different places that we went. Had to take a sip of coffee. And then I got a map from our hotel, a Dublin map, and so I put that in here to keep. And then here's a picture of the folks that went on our trip. This photo is missing two of the people that just came in for just the weekend, but I have another picture of them. So this is my friend Becky, and her daughter was the one doing the internship there, which spurred this whole trip. And these little pockets I'm using, I got these at Target. These are those adhesive pockets. And then when we were at the Guinness Distillery, I picked up this keychain, and this, what is that, a pelican, is one of their mascots through the years. And so I just added it onto this clip. I'm debating, I might take these off of this chain and then spread them out through the different tabs. But for now, I've just kind of tucked it on here. So this is a triple pocket that I think I showed you all how to make in another video. And here's a picture. So this is the Temple Bar, a really famous bar in Dublin, and our hotel was right by there. And so I added here I bought some postage over there, and then here's just a couple little gift tags, or just a gift tag, and here's another gift tag that have Ireland on them. So I just put them in here. And then my husband, he got a little SIM card over there so that he could have a local number and not get charged international rates. And then here's just another little thing we picked up at a little village that we stopped in that was serving Irish coffee. And so I just saved that. So just picking up little pieces of ephemera and putting them in here. And like I have a little receipt here and stuck that in there as well. And then here's a picture. This is our first beer in Dublin. We were at the, used to be a church, and it's now a pub. And we stopped in there and had a drink. And then this was the hotel, our hotel key. So that's the hotel we stayed at in Dublin, the Morgan. It was a very modern kind of hotel. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was really near all the tourists, so it was a little loud if your room was in the front. So here, again, just showing you my journaling. So I did, there's a lot of writing in this journal because I just didn't want to forget all that we did. And I have, this is the other couple that just joined us from the weekend. They live in Wales. And this was at Guinness. We went into the tasting room, and they teach you how to taste Guinness. So that was fun. And I saved all of our little tickets. This was our ticket for the tour. And my little tag that my little keychain came on. I saved that. So a lot of journaling. Here in Dublin, we did some, buying some souvenirs. So I just wanted to save that receipt, and I just put that in there. And then I'm probably going to redo this. I filled out this whole page, and you can read it, but it's hard to read. So I might rewrite that onto something else and then put it on top of here. But yeah, you can just see writing everything that we did. And as we went through, you know, each day. And this was, we went to this museum. It's the Immigration Museum. And saved this little piece. As you went through the museum, they had little passport stamps as you went through each little section of the museum. So that was kind of fun, something to do and something to take away with you. So I just put that right there. And then here's a little lapel pin of their flag. So I just put that on here. And then here is a pharmacy bag from one of their stores. So unlike our kind of drugstores, they don't call them that. They call them pharmacies. And so my friend, she needed to get something from there, and she gave me the paper bag. So then I journaled on the back of it. And then I also have a little coaster from one of the places that we went. So I just put that in that pocket. And then some more journaling. So this is on, so we got there on Thursday. And so Friday we just spent the day, Thursday and Friday just exploring Dublin. And we went to the Guinness, like I said, we went to the Guinness Museum and Distillery for a tour. And then we also went to their famous jail that's over there. And then and that's what we did on Saturday, was walk through the jail and hung out there. And then we went to dinner that night, the whole crew. So it was a big group of us. And the food was delicious. And then we went to a couple bars. And we had a lot of fun at the bars. It was so funny. There was a couple at the bar, couple of girls, and they were actually from the same town that our friend from Wales were in. And then on this little pocket, I journaled on the back of it. Make sure it's still recording. Yep. And then I also, on this tag, I did a little journaling on the back of the tag. And then I saved, you know, I bought a hat, so I saved the tag from the hat. And then I bought a scarf, it saved the tag from the scarf. And then this is, oh, and then another receipt. So it's kind of fun just having those little pieces of ephemera. And then I journaled here about those girls. And Jack Harlow, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a rapper from Louisville, which is where I live. And he was actually performing in a concert just outside of Dublin. And those girls that we met in the pub from Cardiff, Wales, were going to see Jack Harlow, which we thought was just hilarious. And then I have, oh, and we stopped at a family crest store, and we got our family crest printed out, and there's another little receipt. And then after we stopped at that family crest, this was the beginning of our 5-day tour, we stopped at this Kilkenny Distillery. It's a whiskey distillery. And we did a tour of that. Now, we've been on bourbon tours here in Kentucky, so it was similar, but it was still neat to kind of see. It was a really small, old, really, really old distillery, but it's owned by the same company that owns Jim Beam, which is a bourbon distillery here in Kentucky, which we thought, well, that's a small world. And then these are just a few of the brochures of this castle in Galway, and then more about these sweaters that I bought. And then this is a cathedral in Galway that we've toured. That was really pretty. And I just thought these little sheep were cute. It's instructions on how to care for your wool items. So then the second day of our tour actually ended up being the 4th of July. And we left Galway. And we did some touring through, it's called the Barrens, and made our way down to the Cliffs of Moher. And so that was beautiful. So here's one of the photos I took of the Cliffs of Moher, and it was really fun. It was a lot of walking, and it was a little bit hilly, but it was still really worth it. Really enjoyed that. That was very cool. And then we headed on down to our next town that we stayed in was Killarney. and we spent 3 nights in Killarney because we only spent 1 night in Galway. And so we made it into Killarney, and I could not get over how beautiful their hydrangeas were there. I took a lot of pictures, and it was so funny since it was the 4th of July. They were having they had a huge celebration and down in their main streets town, and they had this really tall Uncle Sam on stilts, and all the shops were decorated for 4th of July. And our tour guide told us it's because they appreciate all of the Americans that come and visit their cities in Ireland. And so they wanted to kind of show their appreciation, which I thought was really sweet. And this was one of the stops we made. And I guess I should have, behind us is this, I write about it over here. These are in the Burns, and it's a huge tomb that are shaped like this, 2 big rocks this way and then 1 rock across the top, and you can kind of see the top of it there, but we got a group photo there. And it was the Burns. It's a very rocky landscape. A lot of movies are shot there, and it's really barren looking, but it was really interesting to see. And this was a church that we visited while we were kind of exploring that area, and this was after the Cliffs of Moher as we were heading down to Kilkenny, or no, Killarney. So then the 3rd day of our tour, that was July 5th, we went and drove around what's called the Dingle Peninsula. And before we did that, we stopped at a place called Inch Beach. And let's see if I can show you on here. So yeah, there's Dingle Bay right there. So we were all the way over here, and Inch Beach is right in there. And I got these shells from Inch Beach. I picked them up. The tour guide said it was fine. And then we drove into Dingle, and we stopped at this little jewelry shop, and that's where I picked up this ring. And I also got a necklace for my sister-in-law. And she was funny. She's like, if you see something, get me something. You know, I'll pay you back. And so while we were at Dingle, they had an aquarium. So we had a little bit of time to look around. And my husband and I love going to aquariums. So our friend Shelley went with us. And that was fun. The rest of the folks, I think, found a pub and did some drinking. So while we were on Inch Beach, our tour guide was teaching us how to play the sport of hurling, which was a lot of fun. And it's a stick that is curved at the end, if you're familiar to like a field hockey stick, but it's flat on both sides, unlike a field hockey stick. And then the ball, it's a leather hard ball, and you kind of swing and hit the ball. And it was kind of hard to do. We had lunch in Dingle, and then we drove all the way around the Dingle Peninsula. And as you're driving on that area, that you hit a point, and that's this point right here, where this is the closest land of Ireland that's closest to the United States. So I had him take a picture and have him pointing there. And then we stopped and we fed some sheep at this little area where you could pay like €5 and they gave you some food, but the landscape was really pretty there. And while we were in Kilkenny, we bought some candy at this sweet shop, and we asked, like, what's the traditional Irish candy? So we got some, and it was really good. And then I also bought a lottery ticket, and you all, I actually won, and I won just a free, I could have got another ticket, and I forgot to cash it in before I left. Isn't that silly? So then we made our way back into Killarney, and everyone was just like, oh, let's go eat somewhere, because we got back kind of late. And Chris and I didn't want to have pub food, so we found another restaurant called Garrett's, and it was delicious. Highly recommend it if you're ever in Killarney. And then here's just I'm going to have to glue that down. It's not going to stick. Here is these are little, they're like fairy forts, And there's a lot of myths about fairies, and Ireland being full of fairies, and they have these ring forts or fairy forts. And so we saw some remains of some of them, so I wanted to make sure I included that in there. The pictures aren't all that interesting, so I didn't print any out, but it's still kind of fun to, you know, there's the leprechauns and fairies and all those kinds of myths. Sorry guys, I want to glue this down before I forget. And then we stopped at a Kerry Bog Village. And so back in the day, this is what the houses used to look like. And they were these thatched roofs you can see here. And so this little museum, basically, you can walk through. Each little home represents a different, you know, someone who's a wood carver, someone who's a forger, someone who built cottages, you know. So that was kind of interesting to kind of learn a little bit more of the history. And this was the little booklet. And these boglands, what's crazy is the bodies that are buried in these bogs, it's because there's, I don't know, it's very acidic, I think, but the bodies, the human bodies that were buried in there from, you know, long years and years and years and years and years ago are perfectly preserved. And there's a museum in Dublin where you can see some of these bog bodies. It's very interesting. And then they had a little shop there where you could get some Irish whiskey. So we, of course, did that. Here's another little pin I bought, a little clover. And then on our, let's see, what was this? The 4th day of our tour, I believe. We did what's called the Ring of Kerry. And I picked up this postcard. I thought it was pretty, about the Ring of Kerry. And on this journey, it was really fun. We went to a sheep herder demonstration. So this dude was hilarious. He was the sheep herder guy, but he had these dogs. They were so well trained. It was so cool, the demonstration. And all the way up on the top of this hill is where the sheep were. And these dogs, he commanded these dogs through whistles and calls, and the dogs brought the sheep all the way down to the hill. So that was really neat. So yeah, so that was really cool. And we stopped at another little ring fort. And what else did we do? We drove through Waterville, where Waterford Crystal is. Oh, we went to the Darien house where Daniel O'Connor lived with his, grew up on it, and it was on the water. It's beautiful. Oh, no. Well, you know, I need to print out, I forgot to print out a picture of that. So that's one picture I forgot. And then on the way back, we drove through the Killarney National Forest, and there was this beautiful waterfall there. And then we had Mexican food that night. It was delicious. And, oh, the Skellig experience. Oh, yeah, this was very cool. So there's these islands that are right off of, right out here. And monks, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, these monks felt that they needed to go live on this island. It's all rocks. Couldn't grow anything there, but they felt they needed to live there in, I guess, for penance or whatever, and live in solitude. And they weren't doing cruises when we were out there, but it's very, like, strenuous. It's not an easy trip to do, so I don't know if we would have even done it, but it looked really cool. But they filmed the Star Wars movie, the one where Luke goes out on an island and Rey comes looking for him. It was filmed on this island, so that's cool. And there's some candy wrappers. We went to the Skellig chocolate factory and got some chocolates, and I just thought these were so pretty, the wrappers. So then this was the last day of our tour. Make sure this is still recording. Yep. And this was called Castle Day because we went and saw a bunch of castles. So our first stop was the Blarney Castle, and I didn't realize that they also have all these beautiful gardens there, and they also have another house that the descendants actually live in that house certain times of the year. They weren't living there when we were there, but here's our ticket. So I wanted to save our tickets. Um, and here's just a couple other postcards of Killarney. So that's the Killarney Castle there that you can see. And so I just took those in here. And then here's the Blarney Castle. And they have a bagpipe dude out there playing music as you walk up to the castle. And to kiss the Blarney Stone is all the way up in the top of the castle. And so you have to make your way all the way through the castle to get up there. And there was about an hour wait. So my husband and Evan, one of the other couple's son, they waited, but I wanted to go see the rest of the grounds. So this was the other house that people live in, and you could tour that house. So I went on a tour of that house, and it was beautiful to see how it was decorated. It was decorated like in the mid 1800s kind of design. It was so cool. And then there's these gardens that we walk through. You have this map here that kind of shows you all of the grounds. I mean, it's huge. I mean, look at that. It's just huge. So the castle, where's the castle? There's the castle. And then that's the house I toured. But look at all these grounds. So I toured, after I did that, I toured through some of these. But we were only there, I think it was like less than 2 hours. And we really needed a whole lot longer. So after the Blarney Castle, we headed off to the Rock of Cashel. And that's this one. And it cost to tour this. And we only had like 30 minutes, I think, at the most. Which, I don't even know if we had that. Maybe 20 minutes. So it really wasn't enough time to go inside of it. So unfortunately, we didn't get to go in there. And then our third castle that we stopped at is in Kilkenny. And this is kind of a snapshot. It's huge. I couldn't get it all in the photo, but just to have a little snip of it. And then here's a sheet that I picked up all about the Kilkenny Castle. And this one, so the Blarney Castle, it wasn't furnished or decorated, and the Rock of Cashel same way. But this Kilkenny Castle, it was furnished in, again, like the 1800s decor, and it was gorgeous. It was really pretty. And the sun came out. It was just beautiful. And they have these huge lawns and gardens, and there were all these people just laying out, enjoying the weather. Some people were, playing some, I don't know if they, oh yeah, we saw some people practicing hurling on the lawn, and yeah, it was really fun. So we had to grab quick lunch there again, because we just didn't have a lot of time. And then we headed our way back into Dublin, and it was fun. On the way back, our tour guide, he was fabulous, by the way. I know I said that already, but he gave us his phone and had us pick the music, because he played the music the first 4 days. And so this day, we all each picked a song, and then the young kids, they were kind of DJing, and it was hilarious, some of the songs they were picking, like rap songs and things like that. And so we got back into Dublin. It was, late afternoon, and we had had a late lunch in Kilkenny, so we weren't hungry. So we went out walking, and we hadn't been to St. Stephen Green, so we went to this beautiful park. This photo doesn't do it justice, but I mean, look at the reflection of the sky on that lake right there, on that pond. And again, the weather, I mean, best weather day of our trip. And again, it reminded me of a small Central Park, and people were out and about, sitting on the lawn. They were having bottles of wine or beer. It was really fun. So again, just more journaling. This is all about our last full day in Dublin. And we slept in, actually, because our tour, we had to get up early every day. I mean, we were glad because we got to see so much, but it was exhausting. And then we did just some more sightseeing, and Chris was looking for a bar t-shirt. So we were looking for some different pubs that had some cool, interesting shirts. And then we found, I stumbled across this books, collectible, and antiques. And I did a video on what I bought there. So, and all my other souvenirs from the trip. So check out that video if you haven't seen it. But I was so excited to find this store, you all, because I really wanted to find some vintage items while I was there. And so I did. And so I had to print out a picture of that. And then later that night, Shelly here and Audrey had heard about this speakeasy. And so we went to this speakeasy, and it was really fun. We had some fancy cocktails. Here's a coaster from, it was called the Vintage Cocktail Club, which I love the name Vintage. And it was really cool. And it was not too far from our hotel, which was also kind of fun. And it was hard to find the place because all they had on the door was 3 little letters, VCC, really small, like that big. And so we walked past it a couple times before we found it. And then we, you know, our last day, you know, we had to get packed and head back to America, head back to the airport. And then here's another picture of all of us at that distillery. So yeah, so, you know, you can see most of my journaling was writing. But, you know, I added a lot of the ephemera pieces that I picked up along the way and some photos. Here's some tea bags that I picked up from our hotel. And I'm going to tea dye some papers with the tea. And then I'll save the tea bags and put them in here. But then just some more, an Irish dance show. I didn't go, but some of our friends went. And so this was, oh, this is me planning out my outfits because I wanted to pack a carry-on. So yeah. So I thought I'd save that. But, and then these are our luggage tags. But yeah, so that's how I decorated the journal. And, you know, I do have, like, I don't know if I showed you, I added this little key charm here. And these other little charms over here. But I love how it turned out. And yeah, so I thought I'd share it with y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And I'm sorry if I gabbed on too much, but it was a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? I also forgot that I do have some stuff in here. Forget what I put in here. Probably nothing too exciting. Oh yeah, just some papers. Yep. So, but yeah. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you all on the next video. Please remember to hit the like button. And if you leave a comment down below, because that really helps as well.